Hello and welcome to another movie review from MBE. It's Groundhog Day again, and that can mean only one thing. We're up here at Gobbler's Knob again, John. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? Yeah, we're going to do Groundhog Day once more.
Hopefully the audio's better this time,
Not out of irony. Yes, you're right, John. It's to do with, obviously, the audio from 2 weeks ago when we did a 45-minute review.
Jesus Christ.
And we love this movie so much, we thought we'd do it again.
Steve, I do love this movie.
I'm going to pass it over to you now, John.
Yes.
This is from 1993. Harold Ramis directed it. Bill Murray starred in it alongside Andie MacDowell. An amazing film, very funny film, very meaningful film as well. Yes. And I have lost count how many times I've seen this, but I love this movie.
And of course, directed, Stephen, by the late great Harold Ramis. So
Ramis, yeah.
Ramis, yes.
Yeah.
We
were corrected.
Yes, yeah. Ramis. What was that? It was Josh Gad, wasn't it? You got the gang back together, Ghostbusters.
Right. Yeah, Ghostbusters, yeah.
And it was Ramis. We discovered it was actually Harold Ramis. So there you go. But look, Stephen, a great man, a great actor, a great director as well. He's involved in some amazing movies going back into the 80s. I want to say the likes of Caddyshack and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think he did Vacation as well.
Yep.
An incredible director. And you could argue this was probably one of his best works, if not his best work, in terms of, as what you did say, that just the juggling of some existential things going on, some amazing themes, and just juggling it with some great comedy as well, and getting some brilliant performances too. But Stephen, the introduction to this movie, I want to say it's very frenetic.
Yes.
That's probably the best word for the introduction, the first 15 minutes or so of this movie. It establishes Phil and his very unique weatherman style, his very unique personality. He's quite distant, standoffish, and abrasive chap. Yeah, I've said something else in my notes. He's utterly, you know what?
Yeah.
He's got a unique personality. He seems to, as I did say, just have the bare minimum of connection with his work colleagues. And also in that journey to Punxsutawney, I want to say, I couldn't say it the last time.
That's right, yeah.
Thankfully, we had terrible audio, so people couldn't hear me butchering the name of Punxsutawney. On that journey, it's very awkward with him and Andie MacDowell and the guy who was in There's Something About Mary, whose name completely eludes me at the moment.
Yeah, Chris. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
I'll get it. I'll get
He's
it.
a great character. He's one of the
fantastic,
standout side characters in this movie. But Steve, what did you make about the beautiful way that Ramis introduced the Bill Murray character, the way that he was immediately set up as an unlikable guy?
Yeah.
He did have a degree of charisma about him, though, let's be honest. He wasn't a complete D-I-C-K. I'm not going to swear, but we try not to go to swearing on this channel.
I think the Phil Connors...
It was beautiful.
Yeah, the Phil Connors character at the very beginning is... He's more self-centred than, out and out evil or anything like that. He's snarky, and a bit narky at times. If you're wondering, John, it was on private, but I set it to public, so don't worry, we are live. I thought the first 15 minutes was good to establish the characters, of Phil Connors and obviously Rita. I don't think we ever established her second, do we? I can't remember. But she is the producer, obviously, of the Weather Channel, and she and Larry, along with Phil, are taking the annual trip up to Punxsutawney. It's funny though because he does correct his sort of co-anchor on the news channel, doesn't he? When she says this is your third time, four. It's actually 4.
Sounds like a lot of fun. You must really enjoy it.
Yeah.
What is it? Your third year in a row?
Yeah.
Fourth, Nancy. Fourth. And the death stare he gives her afterwards, it shows that this is a guy who takes no pleasure in driving all the way to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania.
He's not a people person.
He isn't a people's person. He's very introverted, as you did say. He loves himself. He's got an overinflated sense of ego, of sort of personality as well. I think he thinks he's a sort of celebrity. We see that later on when he's initially stranded on the first day in Punxsutawney. He's phoning up for the snow plough to come out.
Yeah.
Don't you know who I am? I'm a celebrity. Things like that. Yeah. But again, it's all important, Stephen, for the introduction of this character. You have to establish what a son of a bitch he is. I feel like Fox Mulder on X-Files. You're such an SLB. Because this movie is all about him. It's all about his journey and going through to the very end. And the way he develops, it takes him a while, but the way he develops into a completely different figure. It's almost like Tony Stark condensed into one movie. He starts off as a complete shithead and develops into a better, more rounded individual as the movie obviously progresses. Stephen, what did you make about the first day in Punxsutawney? I know that it isn't your personal favourite day, but but it's unnecessary day because it establishes guys like Ned, I want to say, and Pork Chops and the little old lady and the B&B.
The homeless guy.
Yeah, the homeless guy. It establishes all these guys that are
funny.
going to pop up heavily over the rest of the movie.
The first day, you're right, John, it's usually just setting, it's laying the groundwork, really, for where everyone is in the town on that day at that precise time. You don't really notice too much of it the first time, it's really just your eyes are focused on Phil Connors and how nasty he is, He's not wanting to stay in the same place as, Rita and Larry, she's one step ahead or two steps ahead of him. I've not booked you into here, I've booked you into a B&B. I think it suits all parties anyway, because the relationship is purely professional. He doesn't want to spend any spare minute with his co-workers, and I think it's the feeling's mutual between Rita and Larry as well. And it's Larry as well. Chris Elliott, that's his name. He always makes little comments once Phil's away. He never says anything to his face, which says exactly. It says a lot about that character, that he's not got a lot of time for Phil. He doesn't really respect him, but he's not got the sort of confidence to stand up to him.
He's a bit of a weasel, Stephen.
Yeah.
You see that?
He's a funny weasel.
He's a funny weasel. He's a harmless weasel. It's just a weasel in the sense that, again, he's almost like the not the alter ego. That's a strange way of saying it. He's like the complete opposite to Phil Connors. He's very confident in your face, says what he thinks, even if it offends you. This guy is terrified of offending people, even if he doesn't like them. He lacks the confidence that Phil Connors has. Yeah. You're right, Stephen. He has a little dig at Rita, the Andie MacDowell character. I think that's one of the traits of a good producer. Look after the talent. Has a little dig at the Fleabag hotel, as you did say, and he's just having digs left, right and centre at people. He's criticising the public about being morons. They love blood sausage. I love blood sausage. We call it black pudding over here.
Rita.
Hicks, yes. So the first day is absolutely necessary in this movie. It's maybe a little more lacklustre in terms of when you compare it to what's going to come afterwards, when he goes off the rails and when he's having a sort of out-of-body experience on the second day. But like I said, very, very, very much necessary for laying down some of these characters who start to really grind on him. Some start to not so much grind on him. He perhaps grows an appreciation for some of them, certainly the old homeless guy. But Stephen, obviously the second day happens. He goes to bed, it's lacklustre, and the Groundhog sees its shadow, and they proclaim another 6 months, I want to say.
6 weeks.
6 weeks, that's a bit harsh, 6 months. You don't know seasons, John, clearly. You stay in Scotland, you should. Another 6 weeks of winter. So he goes off, he tries to leave the town. It's like Truman Show-esque, and there's roadblocks, and it's just not happening. He's stuck. He goes off to bed early. He's like, look, I've got a 100% chance of leaving the next day. He's very confident he's going. Doesn't happen. He wakes up and it's repeating itself. Of course, the Carpenters, I want to say that song.
Sonny and Cher.
Sonny and Cher. Sorry.
You're thinking Room 1408. It's the Carpenters. We've only just begun. It has the same kind of haunting effect. You're right, John.
And it loops again. He's kind of stuck.
This is my favourite day. The second day has always been my favourite day in this film, because you are sort of going along on the ride with Phil. You're not really knowing what's going to happen next, and there's something you don't really. It's almost like deja vu. You don't really pick up on it at first, and then when you do get that sense of deja vu, you're like, it goes away. In this case, it doesn't go away. It just keeps, going the way it did the day before. But I love that, because it's the uneasy sort of state of Phil, in this day, and not sure if it is just deja vu, or because he's been there 3 times before, every year. Perhaps he's just remembering something, from the previous time he was there. He's just, he's all over the place. And it's so funny, that confrontation out in the hallway as he just leaves his room with Pork Chop. Didn't we do this yesterday? And, he grabs him and he says, I thought we did this yesterday, etc., and
he's
then
questioning. Is it still only one time a year?
Yeah, I mean, he's not really sure, and even when he's doing the report, in the square, he's looking around and seeing people's reactions and saying, this doesn't feel right. There's just something great about that. That's down to Bill Murray and his acting talents.
Absolutely.
Everyone else around him is oblivious, because to them it's just, this is the first time they're doing it. This is his second time, but there's just something about that second day that's just my favourite day in this film.
Stephen, I would probably agree. There is other days which stand out for me as well. Perhaps I'm not sure if it's the same one, but I think it isn't. The one where he wakes up and he realises, after the cop chase and whatnot, that he can do whatever the hell he wants, and it just keeps resetting. He wakes up and he just punches. Once he realises the police aren't after him, he goes out and he punches Ned and whatnot, and it's just been really horrible. Like, I think he allows the old man to step in the puddle, or the sort of pothole, and he's kind of having a chuckle.
Watch out for that first step. It's a doozy.
So he's getting his own back in all of these sort of characters that he's had interactions with. He doesn't like, because as she says, he's not a people person anyway. So that's probably one of my standout days. Also, the cop chase one is pretty good as well, where he bumps into these two drunks and he's smashing into all sorts, and he's having the interaction with the police. We'll have 3 burgers and 3 fries, and I think one of them says something. Flapjacks. Too early for flapjacks. It's great. He knows that
he's sent to the cell, isn't he?
And
he wakes up.
And it's what any sort of person would do. Well, maybe some goody two-shoes wouldn't do it, but if you realise you could get away with doing whatever you want and it will just reset with no ramifications, then you'd go out and just run absolute chaos. You'd be
he does that, John. You're right. He's very, for the first half of the film, he's very self-indulgent. He's the cafe scene, the coffee shop where he's got all those cakes and buns and stuff like that, and the coffee and the cigarettes, and he knows there's no consequence to it, so he can do what he wants. His sort of satisfying his needs as well. If that's probably the nicest way I could put it. How many women did they meet up with? We see 2 in the film.
His memories, well, Steve. No, we've got a moth in here.
Hi. Yeah. But it's just, it sums the character up at this stage. He's very self-centred. He's really out just to please himself, and it's all about him. I think you're right, John. He has got an ego as well. He is in this little bubble, this Phil Connors bubble, where he thinks he's more famous than he is. Every time he introduces himself to someone, it's always thanks for watching or something like that, assuming they know who he is from TV, so...
And again, Stephen, that's necessary because it's a beautiful sort of construct of the character from Harold Ramis, and also Bill Murray as well. He would have had a part to play. I think you told me a story the last time that he was going through separation with his wife at the time.
Yeah, Bill Murray.
They were divorcing, and he was staying up way, way late, perhaps drinking and all of that too, and he was really pestering Harold Ramis at the time, and that led to the sort of breakdown of their relationship for a number of years. So he was obviously invested in this character. He had his vision of where he wanted to go with it. I think there was some complaints over maybe the way the story was handled or something like that too. The tone of it, which I can't get my head around because I thought they handled it beautifully.
It was
also,
well
we've seen that with
balanced,
Crispin Glover as well with Back to the Future, the way that was handled. It was sort of superficial, financially motivated, the story, finances and money and jeeps will bring happiness to you. I didn't see that in this movie. I thought it was handled beautifully, and with this I did see the construct of the character at the start. He's this sort of no good, egotistical son of a bitch, as I said previously, and the development that he goes on, it's necessary because he just doesn't get it at the start. It continues.
Rita's the key to that, John. Rita's the sort of one that
the linchpin.
She really is. The importance of Rita in this film. Just for his development and their relationship developing as well is the key to his ultimate redemption.
Yes.
And it's stages. He seems to have conquered all the women in Punxsutawney, and the one that he really wants is obviously Rita.
He didn't conquer the B&B women. Oh, Jesus.
You never know.
Bill, come on.
What would they want with a groundhog? I can think of something pervert.
Maybe
that was one of the best lines in the film.
Yeah, that was great, Steve. That scene was fantastic. Yeah, genuinely hilarious.
I mean, right up to that, I think... he's trying all these different ways to get Rita to like him, fall in love with him, and then he realises he can't do that. He can't make someone fall in love with you, And at that kind of sets him on a sort of a downward spiral at this point, and obviously that it leads to obviously the quarry scene as well. But I think that's when he realises he's a man out of time. He's just a lost soul at this point. He's done all the self-indulging that he thinks he needs, he's did everything that he possibly can, apart from obviously self-development, for the better, which we see obviously as the second half of the film plays out. But there's that point where he's at his lowest, and he realises that he can't get Rita to love him, and it's sad, for all his faults in the earlier parts of the film, you do see the character changing, and you're right, John, it is a gradual thing, but I think that's needed for it to be realistic, within a story that's so out there, and it's almost like an X-Files episode. In fact, it was an X-Files episode, John. Monday.
I'll say Tuesday.
Yeah, it was Monday. Yeah, where
Mulder,
the day
obviously.
keeps repeating itself.
Yeah, it has
you know,
to.
until they get it right. And this is exactly what this film is about. You know, it's about redemption. It's about him being the better person. You know, but it's not going to take a week to do that. In fact, I think Harold Ramis. What did he say it was? It was
10
almost
years.
a decade. Yeah,
but
so
he initially wanted it to be a millennia or something, 1,000 years.
he probably said that after he fell out with Bill Murray and he was just having this sort of fantasy of punishing him. But
all those early morning
But
chats.
as I said, Rita's the sort of key. You know, she's the key to his sort of redemption.
She absolutely is, Stephen, and that's something you also see with the old man too, round about that same period in the movie. But I think that's perhaps a little bit after. But you're right, the sort of romantic linchpin in this movie, because he's clearly been interested in Rita from the start. When they mention her name in the studio at the very start of the movie, he gives a little knowing look over there. So he's had that within him. He's perhaps wanted. Initially, maybe it's lust primarily, but as he starts to actually spend day in, day out with her over 10 years, looping the same day over and over, she's not really getting to know him, but he's starting to know her innermost darker secrets and whatnot. And that really is building the attraction, and then it starts developing into a more romantic sort of attraction to her. So I love that element of the story, how this egotistical guy starts to develop a heart via Rita, the character of Rita. Then, as I did say, the old man, when he realises this old guy doesn't make it, he dies at the end of the day. That again, it brings another emotional layer onto the movie, because you see him realising, look, I can't have that, I'm going to feed him up, I'll take him in, I'll look after him. But obviously it doesn't work out for the better. The man is just destined to die on that day. I think the nurse says it to him.
Yeah, some people
just die.
Yeah, it's a sad line, yeah.
It's a very sad line, and it's a poignant moment, Stephen. And again, that's what makes this movie so special to me. Not just the dark comedy and the brilliant performances from Andie MacDowell and Chris Elliott, I think he says, Bill Murray, even the Stephen Tobolowsky, the Ned character, the little side characters, the performances are fantastic, but it's the sort of juggling of the themes. It can go really dark at points, it's dabbling existential questions, and then it can go really light-hearted at times, and there's poignancy, there's tragic stuff going on within there with the old guy, and with him as well. You mentioned that obviously him hitting his lowest ebb, he's trying to kill himself, he's flinging himself off buildings. Toasters in the bath, and he just can't escape this hell. It must have been absolute. If you were living through that, it would be hell. It'd be like purgatory. But again, he's just not even though he's slowly developing, he still isn't grasping why he is stuck in this continual loop. It's about self-growth, as you did say, Stephen, and developing naturally into a better individual. This is his punishment for being such a shithead to people round about him. And Ramis does do that. He establishes it through some amazing sort of passing, is that even right? Passing of time. Yeah. Some really subtle moments in there where perhaps he'll be memorising something that he's been told, and then he'll be repeating it again the next day and just developing out the conversation bit by bit. It's almost like trial and error with a video game. Right, this didn't work, let's try this in the next attempt. And he keeps failing and failing and failing and failing. Other ones, it's really on the nose, the passage of time, where he's turned into a really exquisite ice sculptor, and he's starting to master the pianos. He's almost like
he's reading French poetry.
And he's developing, and it shows you the passage of time throughout this movie.
And he's doing it all for himself as well, John. That's the most important thing. He's not doing it to try and impress Rita. At this point, he realises it doesn't matter what he does or what he knows. You know, she's got to make that decision whether or not she likes him, whether or not she wants to fall in love with this guy. You know, and he accepts that. So he accepts that he has to become the better person to even to stand a chance. But that's not to say that that's what his motives are. It's not that at all. You know, he's just lived this day for so long now. He's became. He does say at one point he's almost like a god, but I think that was in his early egotistical days. But at this point, he realises he's the man out of time. You know, he doesn't even know if he exists anymore. So he might as well make the better of it. You know, make the best of what is there. You know, in front of him.
That was a magnificent quote from him. Yeah. I've killed myself so many times, I don't even know if I exist anymore. Yeah. Because he doesn't even really. I mean, you would be pondering that existential question: am I even alive? Am I the same person I was before? Yeah. I mean, I've done myself in that many times. I could be a completely different variant of me in a different universe. Yeah. You'd be starting to lose the plot over questions like that. But of course, you'd forget about it. Well, you wouldn't, because he retains the memories. Yeah. But it would reset to an extent within him. Stephen, the Groundhog abduction scene, you touched upon it briefly. I think we have to go into it in more depth. It could be the funniest moment in the entire movie for me.
I think it is.
Just the way he steals the groundhog away in that pickup truck, I think it is.
Yeah. Casual,
just
very casual. The way he just walks into the car,
And again, the juxtaposition of the Rita character and, what's his name?
Larry,
Larry. They're in the
Don't
car
Larry
behind.
me.
What has happened to him? I mean, he must be really going out of his mind here. And then it flips to him and he's having a great time.
Yeah.
Keep your hand on the wheel, keep it steady. The groundhog's driving the pickup truck. Just, it shows you that disconnect. This man is just in another plane of existence at this moment. He's lost the plot. And just the shot of the groundhog driving the pickup truck, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Of course, they go to the quarry and you can hear him revving up. And he just goes right off the cliff. And Larry has a great line. I can't recall. I may have wrote it down.
Yeah.
I can't recall what
is
it
this
is.
when the car goes over the side?
Yeah, it goes right off.
He may be okay.
Yeah. Phil, he might be okay. Bang. Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
And again, it reminded me of Cog, obviously Taika Waititi, at the end of Ragnarok.
Even the morgue scene's quite funny, the way, Larry says, yeah, it really meant a lot to me. There's no sincerity in it at all,
Terrible.
He's really just doesn't want to look like an absolute shit in this moment, so he doesn't really know what to say, and he's got nothing really nice to say about Phil, because Phil had nothing, he had no time for Larry, he saw him as an underling, you're just the guy that carries the equipment, points it somewhere, it's very easy to do. Well, it's not actually, but no, it's a good scene, John, but I like the scene as well for that line where Rita says, why would anyone want to steal a groundhog? I can think of a few ways. Pervert, it's just it's such a funny character. I think he's so underrated.
And that shows you where his mind goes.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That maybe speaks more about him as a character than it does about Phil. That his mind immediately goes to the gutter, essentially, over a groundhog. How would that even work? I don't even want to know. I don't want to know. But Stephen, obviously, the development of Phil really starts moving up a gear after this point. He goes from a man who doesn't care about Larry to bringing out coffee and I think it's like Danish tarts or something like that.
Yeah, they look tasty.
They did look pretty damn good. So he's developing again. He's starting to bond with Rita over the course of this 10-year period. He's having relationships with various different people around about the town as well. Obviously, that scene where he's trying to prove to Rita that he's in a loop and she stays the night with him. He's going through everyone in the cafe.
That's a great scene, yeah.
And he's saying, this is our name, this is what they did, this is their aspirations and hopes, and this is where
Trey's going to fall. Yeah.
Trey's going to fall. She's getting married tomorrow, but she's having second thoughts.
To General Zod.
Yes, it's Michael Shannon. Yeah. Who I didn't even realise that it was in this movie until you actually told me, Stephen. Yeah. Seen it.
He's so young, that's why. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, even at that point, he's got a presence on the screen because he's a great little character. Yeah. Also, he gives them tickets to WrestleMania or something later on. Yeah. But again, that's the development of this character. He goes from outing her doubts, the sort of pettiness within him, to later on he's bringing them together and making her marry him. And then he's giving them tickets and whatnot. He's saving the man in the restaurant from choking, the little kid from falling off the tree. There's a whole array of other things. I think the old woman with the tyre.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's so many things going on. And then Ned, he's sort of the man he hates the most throughout this experience. He starts to realise, look, he's not that bad. He's just a man who's probably
annoying. That's as
he's annoying
bad as it gets. Yeah.
But Stephen, though, the scene where he says, "Come, don't you want to stay a little longer so I can hug you?" and he runs away.
Yeah.
But again, he buys. He takes. He says his name first, and he's like, "Oh," he's a little bit scared or spooked by it. But also, he then takes out all the insurance policies through him, and that makes his day, his life, essentially. And I thought that was just a great sort of finale before the finale, a sort of precursor, a penultimate finale, if you like, where they're showing you the development of this guy, where he is now compared to where he was. And then we get to that charity scene. What did you make of him, the change? Obviously, it was subtle because there was moments where he would show you saving a little boy, but then it would loop again. But then at the end, when it all comes together, he's saving all of these different people and making real impacts in their lives. Yeah. What did you make in this change of this character?
You don't really notice it, John, because if you're watching the film from beginning to end, it's not until you visualise the ending and remember the beginning that you see the contrast. But it's just the way that this story is written. It's very well paced, and it's not rushed, and it's not jarring in any sense. It's not like he's this ass weatherman, that's insulting his co-workers, and then minutes later he's playing the piano and wooing everyone. It's a gradual thing, but it's the charity dancing. There's some funny bits in there as well. Obviously the auction is really good, with
he
Phil.
goes for about $3,000.
Yeah, and it's Rita that wins them, wins the auction for him. Larry, on the other hand, fancies his chances. He thinks, I'm younger than Phil, I've got more appeal than him, surely.
Spins around.
Yeah, he's got that jumper on as well, isn't he? That horrible sort of sweater.
Almost like a Paul McCartney 67 jumper.
It's like
but that was in trend back then. It's
like an Aaron sweater, yeah. And he goes for 25 cents to the old lady, doesn't he? She's the old lady, isn't she, from the car that broke down? Yeah, the very old lady, yeah. And it's when he looks out to the seat.
I got him!
And he's kind of like that, and then he goes, that's brilliant. Absolutely.
And again, that just comes up where this character's going.
Yeah.
He's almost turned into Phil at the end. He's a bit of a condescending shithead.
Yeah.
He's a little bit hateful on the sly, and he gets his just desserts, so he gets to spend the night with a sort of octogenarian, ecstatic old woman. But Stephen, the charity dancing shows us a great moment as well at the start. But they go in, I think Nancy said, they mentioned we're looking for Phil. We've not seen him. Oh, Phil Connors, he's already in there, I think. They walk in, and he's on the piano, man. And he's like Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles rattling out on the piano. Absolutely fantastic. Jerry Lee Lewis was another one. But we do not mention
Billy Preston.
Billy Preston, the late great, what a pianist he was. Organist. Yeah. Because he could do it all. He was a man, Stephen. He really did amplify Let It Be quite a bit with his sort of additives into that. I'm tripping out my nut here. Do bear with me. But Stephen, what did you make of Phil's piano playing? And again, it shows you this man has been in this loop. If you weren't aware, because obviously you found out after the fact from Ramus that it was 10 years, then if you weren't aware at that point, then you are completely aware, because just a few scenes, like 25 minutes earlier, he's taking his first lesson. Now he's playing exquisite sort of jazz piano playing. What was your thoughts on that scene?
I liked the reveal, John, because you're right. I think maybe half an hour before that, you are seeing him, and he's kind of picking up a tune, but he's really out of tune, and he's not consistent enough, and that's the last you see of him playing the piano. And it's not till obviously the dance scene.
He's not even looking at the keyboard.
No, but I think that's well done, because we're actually walking into that ballroom at the same time as Rita, and the look on her face is the same reaction that we're experiencing as well. Just the sheer shock that how good he is, and you're right, John, until the internet and IMDb came about, we didn't know all these little facts about Groundhog Day and how long he was stuck in that, and the falling out of, Murray and Ramus and stuff like that. But it's very interesting, that it does make you wonder. It makes you wonder, how long has he actually spent here, because these skills that he's picked up, ice sculpting, he's reciting French poetry without even reading it. That takes a long time to do. Learning how to play the piano as well.
And he's not a shithead.
No, exactly. He's more comfortable in his own skin. He's more respectful for the people around him as well, and he's not out for any self-gain either.
No.
He's not out to try and impress anyone. He's just out to try and be the better person.
And Stephen, obviously, you have to look at it from the Larry and Rita side of things. They have came on this journey to Punxsutawney with him
the day before,
The day before.
Yeah.
And then he's turned into a completely different guy.
Yeah.
He's doing ice sculpting.
You do forget that, though, that from their perspective.
Would they be thinking, it's like, what the hell is this?
Is this his twin?
Yeah, I mean, is he been swapped with somebody else? Is this a bad joke? Is this a bad actor, as they like to call these sort of things on YouTube, I think? Yeah. Strange. It's almost like the untruth. He didn't tell a mistruth. That was something that came up in Scotland a few years back in a sporting sense, and that word made no sense to me at that time either. Bad actor. But Stephen, more than briefly, I spoke about Phil's transformation in this movie, but I really have to say again, for me it is one of the great cinematic transformations. I always speak about The Godfather, Michael Corleone, obviously the fantastic Al Pacino. For me, that is the greatest cinematic transformation in a movie ever. He goes from this innocent outside figure in the family, not connected to the mobster stuff and the criminal ongoings and whatnot, and then he turns into an absolute monster at the end. He's almost more intimidating, more brutal than Don Corleone, Vito Corleone, whatever. this is probably right up there for me. With
A Wonderful Life as well, John. You've got to mention, the transformation from that character as well. It's all in there, but that's a good comparison. In fact, I think that's more closer to it, without the violence, obviously. But you're right. It's the contrast between the very sort of nasty person at the very beginning of the film. To the person he becomes in the end, as I said to you before, it is the ultimate redemption sort of story,
Absolutely. Stephen, performances in this movie. I mean, there is a clear standout performer in this movie.
It's his world.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's his world. It's Bill Murray. Yeah. He's the man in this movie. So perhaps that'd be better. I mean, I'll let you say your bit on Bill Murray's performance as well. For me, it was everything. Yeah. He brought subtlety to it. He brought dark humour. There was charisma in there. He was a shithead, but he was likeable despite it. And that's because of Murray.
Yeah, and I couldn't see anyone else playing him. I know that Tom Hanks was one of the names, bandied about at the time. And as a fine actor, Tom Hanks is he's one of my favourite actors, in my lifetime. But he's not got the personality to do that. Bill Murray... I don't like to say Bill Murray's been Bill Murray in this. I think he's just very good at playing roles like that, like Peter Venkman in the Ghostbusters. Yeah. Very sarcastic and cutting at times, but funny, so funny. I can't remember who the other person was. Tom Hanks and someone else.
Michael Keaton.
Was it Michael Keaton? Yeah. Michael Keaton. I know that he would. He would. Did he work with Harold Ramis on Multiplicity? Was that Ramis's film? I can't remember, but I can see Michael Keaton. Playing Phil Connors, but I'm glad it was Bill Murray because I can't really think if it been anyone else.
Indeed,
yeah,
and I think it was the same writer, and it was Andie MacDowell that was in that as well.
That's right. Yeah. That was a great film. But I don't know if you've seen that, John. But
I haven't.
It was a terrific movie. It was so funny. But no, I mean, getting back to Bill Murray, he carried the film from start to finish. But the film was about him. It was all about his redemption in the film, him changing, gradually throughout those 2 hours. You got your side characters of Larry, played by Chris Elliott. It was fantastic what he was given. He delivered those lines, perfectly. So funny, memorable. We've been quoting them all night. Andie MacDowell is Rita. Perfect love interest, I want to say, but more than that, obviously her importance in this film, her character's importance in this film is what was needed for Phil to change his ways, but there's other little cameos. We mentioned obviously Michael Shannon in there. Harold Ramis had a cameo as well as the psychiatrist. Oh no, sorry, who's the doctor?
The doctor, yeah.
The psychiatrist scene was good as well.
You did go to university, didn't you?
Wasn't veterinarian, psychology was it? It's little lines like that. That's
Stephen,
what we're talking about here.
I've not seen this movie in about 3 weeks to a month now, and it's still sticking in my mind.
Yeah.
Some of these little quotes, and it's a little off. The cuff moments, it's not big long-winded quotes, it's little remarks from Bill Murray.
But Bill Murray was the standout performance.
Absolutely, Stephen. Look, the other question I was going to fling to you, you kind of answered it in your own way, was what would be the sort of standout side characters? And I do agree with you. For me, the other primary side character that also stands out has to be Rita, Andie MacDowell, for the reasons you say, is the sort of romantic connection and her lifting him out of this strange, never-ending purgatory that he's experiencing. But it wasn't just romantic, she was almost this...
She showed them there's a better way of living,
Yeah, it was like intellectual as well. You can't just woo a woman through charisma and perhaps just saying, look, I know a couple of things about you that I've gathered over Lord knows how many months of interactions, living them out again and again. You have to be more than that. You have to be a genuinely good person at some intellectual level to be able to be with me. And she showed them, she just taught them so many lessons throughout the movie that was ultimately pivotal for bringing him out. Also that and the old man as well, as I keep saying. I agree as well, Chris Elliott as Larry, it was hilarious. And I've not seen this guy in many movies. The only other one that sticks out is There's Something About Mary.
Yeah.
But he's got sort of psoriasis and some condition, and he's that stalking figure for the Cameron Diaz character. Stephen Tobolowsky as well, just for those lines.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just absolutely outstanding in this movie. He's an annoying figure, but he's likeable as well, and that's something that's difficult.
His final scene was fantastic, John. You know, with Andie MacDowell and Bill Murray when he says, "Where are we going next?" and she kind of just goes like that to his cheek. Oh, let's not spoil things. She's even given a funny line as well, but his reaction to that was brilliant. Yeah, I forgot about him, and I really shouldn't, because his character, is limited as it was so memorable, and although it was mostly the scene repeating itself and slight changes every time you saw him. Obviously the hugging scene was the ultimate change, he was very uneasy about getting hugged by...
Turned it on him big time.
Yeah, it was great.
And it was fantastic. Stephen, look, before we get into the finale, I'm going to quickly talk about technical aspects, because I think you mentioned when we last reviewed this, prior to it, I don't think we actually spoke about it on the review, but the way that they edited or they filmed this movie during the production, they got all the scenes involving certain characters out the way in block shooting. So it would be sort of Bill Murray and Stephen Tobolowsky shooting that same scene, looping day in, day out, back to back to back to back. So again, that's an editing mastery, that, and just a technical mastery, bringing all of that all together.
I think it's got to do with, you're right, John, I think it's got to do with, obviously you're dealing with so many characters that have got to be in the same place at the same time, and obviously daylight settings has got a lot to play with it as well. If it's supposed to be the same day, it's got to look exactly the same, so you're better doing all that, shooting it back to back, just repeating. We're doing day one, here now we're doing day two, we're doing day three, just shoot it all back to back, everyone in position, bit like Truman Show actually, getting everyone in position and sync and ready to reenact it over and over again. But it's a clever way of doing it.
It really was, Stephen. And again, just the editing in general, it flowed beautifully, this movie, for me. Never at any point did I feel bored. And it is over 2 hours, I want to say. And that again is Ramis and the screenwriters and all of the crew behind the scenes bringing together a really special movie. It flowed, and tonally it was on point. The editing was on point. I loved the cinematography. There was some subtle little moments in there where it would pan, as you did say, to him spotting a bald head. Just little moments with the groundhog and things like that. Panning down to downstairs in the B&B when he's using the kettle to obviously electrocute himself. Great little edits, great little cinematic moments with the cinematography.
Yeah.
Score was good in parts. There was lots of good music used. Obviously, that one you mentioned, it's completely left my mind already. Not the Carpenters, the other one.
Sonny and Cher.
Sonny and Cher.
Yeah. The Pennsylvania Polka as well.
You will be getting acquainted with that then. Don't worry about that. We're trying to avoid the YouTube sort of propensity for copyright claim and things, although we're not earning any money anyway, so it doesn't matter. But Stephen, we'll get that out of the way. The finale, the alarm clock changes. He spends the night with Rita. He's hoping in his heart of hearts that this is it. He's done everything. I don't think he's thinking like that, but he's a different man. And if this isn't going to get him out of it, this day, it's almost perfection. Nothing's getting him out of it. So he goes to sleep, he wakes up, the music plays, it's the same goddamn song again, Sonny and Cher. But then they interject and it's like, no, you're playing that goddamn song, heavily paraphrasing here. And we realise that he's out, she's still in the bed with him. Yeah. What was your thoughts the first time you seen that? I thought it was a really beautiful moment, just relinquishing this sort of purgatory thing. One thing I didn't like though, when they sort of look out the window and then they go ready to go out the house, and he says, "Oh, it's beautiful here. Why don't we live here forever or something like that?"
I don't like that line, John.
He's stuck in this place for 10 years.
Yeah, and it's not realistic, because she's technically only known him for 2 days. Out with working with him in the studio back in Pittsburgh. It's a weird thing to say. Although I think she has fallen in love with him at this point, she's realised that he is actually a good guy, and he's got a lot to offer. But yeah, I mean, the whole reaction to realising that Groundhog Day was over, just you can see it in his face, just the sort of relief of it. It's just been the end of a very long day. I think that was a line he said, and you could feel just the relief in his delivery, and it was a good scene. Rita's there with him, but I don't like that line. I don't like that line at all. I don't think it was necessary.
No, I don't either, Stephen. It nagged on me, being a pedantic bitch like I am. I pick up on little things like that. But Stephen, final thoughts on this film? Perhaps its legacy. I think it speaks volumes that nearly 30 years on,
we're talking about it.
People are still speaking about it. On YouTube, doing reviews, watching it. It's a timeless modern day classic for me. And it's for all of the reasons I mentioned: the story, the tones, the juggling of themes, existentialism, the great performances, everything, editing. I love it. Yeah, John, I just think it's fantastic. I love the concept of looking as well.
It's up there. It's up there with the likes of, personally this is, it's up there with the likes of Star Wars: A New Hope. It's up there with the likes of Back to the Future. It's up there with the likes of Shawshank Redemption for me. Yeah. Just because I get such enjoyment out of watching this film over and over again. I never get bored of it. There's only a handful of films that do that for me, and this is one of them. Absolutely,
Stephen. But look, I ain't get much more to add, so I'm going to round up our review of Groundhog Day on that note. What's your guys' thoughts on Groundhog Day? Is it something you've seen before? Is it something you've perhaps missed somehow? You should right that wrong immediately. But if you have seen it, what's your thoughts on it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's a modern day classic? Who's your favourite standout performer? What's your thoughts on Ramis' directing and just the juggling of themes and whatnot? If you have anything to say at all, going to butt here, sorry, I have been drinking beer. You can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. And if you do, then you'll see us back here again on Monday for more NBA movie news. See you then, guys.